Good morning. Look, 2 weeks ago, I asked you, where do you find your security from? And then last week we spoke about inspiration, the breath of God. Now, today I have another question for you. Has anyone ever approached you thinking you were someone else? Do you remember? It feels awkward, doesn't it? I mean, you immediately, if you're like me, I immediately start looking for that person to see why is it that this person confused me with him. Who is that person? What that person look like? And if I were to confess, it seems like there is a crisis inside of me. Well, especially having all our masks on nowadays, it's happening very often. This is the message that it's hurting us most. You look like the person I love, but since you're not, I don't love you. You look like the person that I was going to tell them maybe a secret, but since you're not that person, you don't deserve to know my secret. You look like the person that I was going to give something very valuable, but since you're not that person, I'm not going to give it to you. And to be honest, it can even turn a little offensive. Let's go to Jesus. Let me tell you about Jesus. Jesus enjoyed all the fame while feeding people, while healing people, restoring lives, restoring families. He had countless amount of disciples around him, and everyone seemed to recognize who Jesus really was. And that is the Jesus they loved. Until Jesus told them who he really was. John chapter 6, verse 35, Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. They love this. Are you kidding? The bread of life? That means if I come to you, you will satisfy my needs. I'll never be hungry. I'll never be in need. I'll never thirst. They love this Jesus. But then Jesus said, I'm not talking about the bread you eat or the water you drink. I'm talking about eternity. I'm talking about a divine bread and water. In John chapter 6, verse 52, the Jews then disputed among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? So Jesus said to them, truly, truly I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever feeds of my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I will raise him up on the last day. Do you know what happened in John chapter 6, verse 66? And I already don't like 666, but this is what it reads. After this, many of his disciples turned back and no longer walked with him. You are not the Jesus that we thought you were. You're not the king that we were expecting. You're not the one according to our expectations, our needs, our understanding. You're not the Jesus that we like. Unfortunately, today, this happens. And many of us may have the wrong approach to God. You know, we claim that God is our God, the God of provision, the God who will supply all our needs. And those are promises that God has given to you, me, everyone who loves him. But friends, I'm here to encourage you. When we go to God, do not confuse God the Creator with the God that He just provides for your needs. He is so much more than that. We have to go to Him and recognize Him as God, our Creator. In John chapter 6, verse 67 to 69, to close, Jesus said to the 12, do you want to go away as well? And Simon Peter answered, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. And we have believed and we have come to know that, here's the conclusion, you are the Holy One of God. Jesus is the Holy One of God. He is God. So my prayer to you and to everyone is that we go to Him for who He is, not for what He does. So examine your heart, your intentions, your desires, even your expectations. Because I don't want anyone to approach Jesus thinking He is someone who He is not. He loves you. Amen.